What happens tonight, January 30, is no ordinary night. Tonight is not like other nights. This is not just another page on the calendar. Not just another sunset fading into darkness. There is a battle that no one applauds. No audience gathers for it. No medals are given for surviving it. And yet it is the most real war you will ever fight. The war within your own heart. Negative feelings don't arrive by accident. They don't drift in randomly like the weather. They come with a message, with an assignment, with a purpose. And if you don't recognize that, you'll mistake the signal for the sentence. You'll believe the feeling is who you are, instead of understanding it's something passing through you. You wake up, and it's already there. The heaviness, the tightness in your chest, the quiet voice saying you're behind, you're failing, you've missed your moment. And you think, why am I like this? But the truth is, you are not your thoughts, and you are not your emotions. They are visitors, not residents. They knock, but they do not own the house unless you hand them the keys. Negative feelings are often born when something inside you knows things are not the way they're meant to be. They rise when there is a gap between who you are and who you were created to become. They surface when your spirit senses pressure, resistance, or change. And instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" the better question is, "What is this feeling trying to show me?" Because despair often points to unrealized purpose. Fear often guards a door you're meant to walk through. And sorrow often appears right before transformation begins. The danger is not feeling these emotions. The danger is agreeing with them. The moment you say, "This is who I am," or "This will never change," the battle shifts, and not in your favor. Agreement gives authority, and what you agree with will shape what you become. You've been listening too long to the voice that speaks only when you're tired. The voice that reminds you of every failure, but never mentions how far you've come. That voice is loud at night, loud in silence, loud when no one else is around. But volume does not equal truth. Tonight is about recognition. Recognition that the ache you feel is not a verdict. Recognition that the restlessness in your soul is not weakness, it's awareness. Something in you knows there must be more than surviving, more than coping, more than just getting through the day. And here is the turning point. Feelings demand attention, but they do not deserve control. You can acknowledge the pain without surrendering to it. You can feel the fear and still move forward. You can sit with the sadness and still choose hope. The strongest people are not those who never feel broken. They are the ones who refuse to let brokenness decide their future. So don't curse the battle within you. Don't shame yourself for the tears, the questions, the moments of doubt. Those are signs that you are still engaged, still fighting, still alive. The day you feel nothing at all, that is the day to be afraid. This is the moment to pause and say, "I see you, but you will not rule me." To speak back to the thoughts that have been speaking to you, to stand in the middle of the storm inside your mind and declare that this feeling is not the end of your story. Because recognition is the first act of freedom, and once you see the battle clearly, you can finally begin to win it. There are moments that look ordinary on the surface, but carry the weight of eternity within them. Tonight is one of those moments. It may feel like just another evening, another date written and soon forgotten. But history is shaped not by loud events alone. History is shaped by quiet decisions made in unseen hours. What makes a moment powerful is not how it appears, but what is chosen within it. You may be sitting in the same room, breathing the same air, surrounded by the same circumstances. Nothing outside may seem different, and yet something is shifting. Because turning points rarely announce themselves, they don't arrive with thunder or spectacle. They arrive with a whisper, with a nudge, with an inner knowing that says, "Pay attention, this matters." There are nights when the soul stands at a doorway, nights when you are invited, not forced, not pressured, but invited to step out of what has been and into what could be. And the tragedy is that many walk past these moments because they expect them to look dramatic. They wait for certainty, for clarity, for assurance. But moments of destiny rarely come with guarantees, they come with choice. Tonight is not powerful because of the date. It is powerful because of the opportunity it holds. An opportunity to decide what voice will guide you forward. An opportunity to let go of what you've been dragging behind you. An opportunity to say, "I will not postpone change for a future that never arrives." So many people live as if their real life will begin someday. After the pain fades, after the fear leaves, after everything makes sense. But life does not begin later. It begins in moments like this, in the present, in the uncomfortable now, in the decision to act before you feel ready. This moment is asking something of you, not perfection, not strength you don't have. It is asking for attention, awareness, willingness, because the smallest decision made tonight can redirect the entire path ahead. One honest prayer, one courageous thought, one refusal to give up, one step forward even if it trembles. You may not feel inspired, you may feel tired, confused, or unsure, but moments like this don't wait for feelings to align. They wait for courage to rise, and courage is not loud. It is quiet resolve. It is the decision to show up when it would be easier to withdraw. Tonight is a hinge, and hinges are small, almost unnoticeable, but they hold the weight of doors that open into new rooms. What you choose tonight may not change everything instantly, but it will change direction. And direction, over time, changes everything. So do not dismiss this moment. Do not minimize it. Do not tell yourself it is just another night. Treat it with reverence. Treat it with intention, because years from now, you may look back and realize that the shift you were waiting for didn't come from the outside. It began quietly, courageously, tonight. There comes a moment when you realize the battle is no longer about what you are facing, but about what you are agreeing with. Fear does not overpower you by force. Doubt does not chain you to the ground. They wait for permission. They wait for you to nod silently and say, "You're right." And once that agreement is made, the weight becomes heavier than it ever needed to be. You didn't wake up one day and choose to believe you were not enough. You were taught it, by disappointment, by rejection, by moments that didn't turn out the way you prayed they would. Little by little, you began to accept thoughts that were never meant to be yours. And now they speak so fluently in your own voice that you mistake them for truth. But hear this, not every thought that sounds like you comes from you. There are lies that disguise themselves as logic. They say, "Be realistic." They say, "Don't get your hopes up." They say, "You've tried before. What makes this time different?" And because they sound reasonable, you let them stay. You entertain them. You build your expectations around them. Without realizing it, you've been living in agreement with limitations that were never placed on you. Breaking that agreement is not easy because it feels unsafe. Fear pretends to protect you. Doubt claims it is keeping you from disappointment. But protection that cages you is not protection at all. It is captivity. Tonight is not about pretending fear doesn't exist. It's about refusing to let it speak with authority. It's about recognizing that doubt has been narrating your life for too long. And narration shapes direction. If the story you tell yourself is always about loss, failure, and inadequacy, you will live as though victory is impossible, even when it's within reach. Breaking agreement begins quietly. It begins with a pause, a moment where you catch the thought mid-sentence and say, "No, that is not the final word." It begins when you stop rehearsing what could go wrong and start standing on what still could go right. This is not denial. This is discernment. You are allowed to feel fear without obeying it. You are allowed to acknowledge doubt without building your future on it. Agreement is a choice, and tonight you are being asked to choose again. Say no to the lie that says your best days are behind you. Say no to the voice that says healing is for everyone else but you. Say no to the belief that because it didn't happen before, it will never happen at all. Every time you break agreement with fear, something inside you loosens. Every time you reject a lie, clarity grows stronger. It may not feel dramatic. It may feel small, even fragile, but fragile things, when protected, become unbreakable. You don't need to silence every negative thought tonight. You just need to stop bowing to them. Stop giving them the power to decide who you are and where you are going. Because the moment you break agreement with what has been holding you back, you create space for something new to take root. And what grows in that space may change everything. There comes a moment when everything inside you wants to stay where it is. Not because it is good, not because it is right, but because it is familiar. Pain you know feels safer than change you don't. And in that moment, life places a question before you, not spoken aloud, but pressed into your spirit. Will you rise or will you remain? Rising does not begin with confidence. It begins with resistance against the voice that says, "Not now, not you, not again." Rising is not dramatic. It is often quiet, trembling, almost invisible to everyone else, but it is a choice, and it is one of the most powerful choices a human being can make. You may be tired, not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the deep exhaustion that comes from hoping too many times and being disappointed too often. That kind of weariness convinces you that staying down is wisdom. It tells you surrender is maturity. But surrendering your future is never wisdom. It is fear disguised as peace. The choice to rise is not about denying your pain. It is about refusing to let pain become your identity. You can be wounded and still stand. You can be uncertain and still move forward. Rising does not require you to have answers. It requires you to stop waiting for permission. Every part of you may argue against this moment. Your mind will remind you of every time you tried and failed. Your heart will replay every rejection. Your body will crave rest instead of risk. And yet, somewhere deeper than all of that, there is a quiet pull, a knowing that if you do not rise now, something within you will slowly begin to fade. Rising is an act of defiance. It is standing up to your own doubts and saying, "You will not decide this for me." It is choosing courage not because you feel brave, but because staying where you are has become more painful than the fear of moving forward. This choice may not change your circumstances immediately. You may still wake up to the same challenges tomorrow. But when you rise, you change your posture toward life, and posture determines perspective. From the ground, everything looks overwhelming. From your feet, you begin to see possibilities again. Do not underestimate the power of one decision made in weakness. History is shaped by moments when people stood up before they were ready, when they moved without guarantees, when they chose hope not as a feeling but as an action. Tonight is asking you to rise not perfectly, not confidently, but honestly. To rise with shaking knees and a steady resolve. To rise even if all you can say is, "I don't know how, but I refuse to stay here." Because once you rise, something inside you remembers who you are. And when that happens, Even the darkness knows it has lost ground. There are seasons when the light seems distant, when everything feels muted and heavy, when hope feels like a memory rather than a reality. Darkness has a way of convincing you that it is permanent, that it has always been this way and always will be. It narrows your vision until all you can see is what is missing, what is broken, what has gone wrong. And in that narrowing, you begin to forget that darkness is not a substance, it is the absence of light. Darkness does not mean you have been abandoned. It does not mean you have failed. It does not mean you have taken a wrong turn and can never find your way back. Often, darkness is simply the space where something new is being prepared. The soil is dark, yet it is where life begins. The night is dark, yet it is what gives way to dawn. When you are surrounded by darkness, your senses change. You become more aware of every sound, every movement, every breath. And in that heightened awareness, fear tries to take over. It tells you that because you cannot see the way forward, there must be no way forward. But sight is not the only way to navigate. Sometimes you are meant to walk by trust, by memory, by the quiet assurance that light has never failed to return. Light does not always arrive as an explosion. More often it comes as a small flame, a thought that refuses to die, a whisper that says, "Keep going," a strength you didn't know you had until you needed it. Darkness hates small lights because small lights spread. One moment of courage can illuminate a path you thought was gone forever. You may be in the dark right now because you are being repositioned, because what comes next cannot be born in comfort, because the old patterns had to fade before new ones could form. Darkness strips away distractions. It forces you to confront what truly matters, and though it feels unbearable, it is often where the deepest work is done. Do not measure your future by the light you see today. Measure it by the light you carry within you. Even when everything around you feels heavy, there is something in you that still hopes, still believes, still reaches forward. That is not an accident, that is evidence. Darkness may surround you, but it cannot consume what it did not create. Light has an origin beyond circumstance, and because of that, no night, no matter how long, has the authority to cancel the morning. So stay, breathe, hold on, not because it is easy, but because this darkness is not your destination. It is a passage, and on the other side of it, light is already waiting. There comes a time when holding on becomes heavier than letting go. You don't always notice it at first. You tell yourself you're being strong, that endurance means carrying everything with you into tomorrow. But slowly, the weight begins to shape the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you see yourself. And one day you realize that what you've been calling strength has actually been survival. Stepping into a new chapter does not begin with excitement. It begins with grief. Grief for what you hoped would be different. Grief for the version of yourself that tried so hard and still fell short. Grief for the time you can never get back. And it is only when you allow yourself to feel that grief that your hands finally loosen their grip. You were never meant to drag the past into the future. Lessons, yes. Wisdom, yes. But not the shame. Not the regret. Not the constant replay of moments you wish you could undo. Those things are heavy because they were never meant to be carried beyond the season they came from. A new chapter asks something very specific of you. Honesty. Honesty about what no longer fits. Honesty about what is draining you. Honesty about the fears that have kept you standing still long after it was time to move. And honesty is frightening because it removes the comfort of excuses. Walking forward does not erase the past. It redeems it. Every step you take is a declaration that what happened to you does not get the final word, that the story is still being written, that you are not finished. You may feel unprepared. You may feel like you should be stronger, wiser, more confident by now. But new chapters are not entered by those who feel ready. They are entered by those who are willing. Willing to trust again, willing to risk disappointment, willing to believe that growth is still possible. Leaving the old behind does not mean you forget it. It means you stop living there. It means you thank it for what it taught you and refuse to let it define what comes next. It means choosing hope not as a guarantee, but as a direction. As you step forward, there will be moments when the old weight tries to call you back. Familiar pain has a voice, but so does freedom, and freedom sounds like a quiet peace, a steady breath, a sense that even though the path is uncertain, it is right. This is how renewal begins, not with a dramatic transformation, but with a single step taken in faith. And as you cross that invisible line into what's next, you may realize that the strength you were searching for was already within you, waiting for the moment you chose to walk on.